let's see what it's saying about these shocks. Now, these really look like desert lizards. They're exactly the same. They are desert lizards. They've just had a different name stamped on them. Wolf shocks, internal scale shocks. But looking at all these parts, I don't think there's any question. They are desert lizards. Recommended mounting, semi-droop setup, softer small spring on the bottom, medium size, softer spring on the top. Sounds good. Scale mounting equals drop setup, medium size, softer spring on the bottom, and softer small spring on the top. Lubricate, fill up part of the shock or shock's body with very fluid silicone oil, 100 CPS for example. So with these shocks, what I'm doing first is I'm just going to lay them out in an orderly fashion so that they're ready to construct. So just setting out the 4 different shocks, 4 different sets, and then there's no hunting for pieces. We know what's going with what. Right, I've had my tea, and for those outside the UK, or at least the north of the UK, having my tea doesn't mean a drink. That's my evening meal, my dinner if you like, but for us we tend to say dinner for our meal in the middle of the day and tea for the one you have when you get home from work. Right, anyway, where was I up to? So I'd done these end caps, putting the different O-rings in there and the circlip inside. That one doesn't look like it's quite in place, so let's make sure that's in. There we go, click. Nice healthy click. Yeah, that one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. Whoa, that's hard work on the eyes. So there's lots of ways of holding the piston or the shaft in a pair of shocks. You can buy special grips for them, special pliers. My method is dead simple. I've got a load of these samples of leather that I got from a furniture store, and they're useful for all sorts. But one thing that I do use them for, and I have a strip in a lot of places, is for holding these, because you can put it on this side of the leather, the inside is nice and grippy, so you can hold your piston with that and screw your rod end on, no problem. Now the only thing we've not got here compared to the desert lizards is different, I don't know what you even call them anymore, different discs for inside the dampers with different numbers of holes. Now I could go and get the ones out of my desert lizards, but I'll not. Right, what did I decide? The recommended mounting. So these saying the softer springs, so we'll go for the softest. So 0.6mm, 0.8mm and 1mm. So obviously the 0.6mm is what we're going to go for as the softest. And they're saying small on the bottom, So that's one going on there. Then we're putting a circlip on. Right, so get that damping disc on now. The piston disc, I don't know, what's it called? Anyone know? Leave it in the comments, let's all learn. And then another one of those. Right. So that's one. And that's going to have the medium size spring. Let's just check. Short, medium and long. Medium size soft spring in there. I'm not going to do the oil yet. I'm just going to assemble those, put them to one side and then do the oil. Right, one of those. Smashing. And a medium one in there. That's another pair. Let's just put these mediums in, out of the way. Now if you're a big fan of desert lizards and you've got an idea for what would be the best setup for these, let me know and I might change them over. Because whilst we do want to see what it runs like in its stock, kind of recommended setup, hobby's all about getting the most out of your rig as well, isn't it? Tuning them, getting them to feel how you want. You're saying use 100 oil. I haven't got any 100 around, so I'm going to use 200. It's the closest I've got. I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to take the seal off this bottle. That's going to make it a lot easier to use. Now what's going on? I'm not doing very well, am I? Cap in here. Third time lucky. It's not as easy to bleed your shocks with these, because you can't just take the cap off. They're feeling plush. If a little stiff, but I think they'll be okay. Now this one has got a lock, so you can see it's got air underneath the piston, because you can see the bubbles sticking on that shaft. So we want to work that and get those bubbles out. Let that air escape. Just working it. Very loosely. I'm going to prop it up. There we go. Toasted sandwich maker is a great stand, it would seem. Be a lot of fiddling around doing shocks. Now I know some people with their desert lizards say just put a little coating of oil in there. Some people say fill them, some people say half fill them. Right, so we've got 4 what should be fairly well matched shocks. That look about right. Nice and greasy. I think they're all secure. Now, a nice thing with those is you can actually tighten them whilst they're on the vehicle. Right, so we've got our shocks, and now we're going to be mounting axles and shocks onto the chassis. So we're doing the front, it would appear. Taking these, got 2 lengths of bolt here, 4 longer ones, 6 longer ones, 4 shorter ones. Right. So we're doing the front. So here's the front axle. What are we going for first? Lower link. And that wants us to go shock on this side, so these are the longer bolts. Through there. Then the shock. Now this is going to be a squeeze. Wow, can we really fit that? I am going to turn it over. Right. Let's try and get these right. This is going to be tricky. Okay, got it in. Tricky, tricky. Got it. And that's having a nylock nut on there. which of course you can't get a wrench to, so you need a little spanner. Trusty adjustable. Now, is there anyone in the world, and I've asked car mechanics this, is there anyone in the world that straight away knows which way to turn this? You know, I've been using them for, I don't know, nearly 40 years, and I'm still not convinced which way I turn them. And everybody tells me the same thing. Yeah, no idea. It's crazy. Right, just enough that there's no play in it. And now the other side. It's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit tricky, this feeling inside. Oh, Elton would be proud. Probably get done for a copyright violation now. My perfect rendition. Well, I did used to know a guy that went to school with Elton John, so and in fact got his nickname from Elton John, or from Reg Dwight I should say. So yeah, this guy that I knew, that I used to work with, Wilf, we then found out his name wasn't actually Wilf. I'm like, well, why Wilf? He said, oh, Reg Dwight gave me the name. Oh, right. So evidently they were all into changing their names in that school. Oh, I wonder what Wilf's doing now. Top bloke. I hope he's well. I was just thinking, I wonder how old he is, but well, he's the same age as Elton John, so easy to look up if I want to know. Right, that's those on. Flip it over. Calamitous clacking. We'll put the next one of these. Which side do I want it to go from? I'm sure it doesn't matter, but we'll follow what it says. So we're going from the left. Oh gosh, what a pain. Is this ever easy? Nope. It's the neck. There we go, through the first one. Now it's easier. Because now the other one should stay where we put it. Through the second one. And an eye lock nut. Oh, and I can use a closed wrench on this one. That makes it easier. I've got it stuck on. There we go. Right, now the shocks. So, what we had left from there, we've got 2 spacers and the ball. So, shock up, bolt through, 2 spacers, and then that's going into the other bottom hole of that shock tower. That one. Bottom front. You know, I'm going to take my jumper off again. Pardon me. I might even grab my glove again. Before I get a serious case of RC car hand. My first hobby grade was the Terra Scorcher, which I loved and hated. Terrible chassis, great performance. Great performance but terrible chassis. It always helps if you use the right size Allen key. Oh, it's just spinning. Now there's not a lot of scope here for changing your suspension geometry. Yes, we've got that extending chassis, but if we extend the chassis we need to get all new links as well. But just for playing with your suspension for a different setup, you've only got 3 other holes where you could put that top end of the shock, which is a little bit surprising. Hobbytech must be confident that their geometry is amazing and that their suspension setup works. So let's see if that's the case. I hope so. I like the idea of this being a different player that can put up a good show against some of the others.